You have the eye for human weakness, but not the stomach.
What's this about?
Oh, just a feeling I have.
Ouch. When you get those feelings, insurance companies start to go bankrupt.
What kind of music do you usually have here?
Oh, we got both kinds. We got country and western.
Are you the police?
No, ma'am. We're musicians.
It's the Al Travis Show. We called this with Senator Susan Kent Clean Up in Aisle 9 or Yeah, but because, well, that interrupt each other quite a little bit. How are you doing, Senator?
It's a beautiful summer day, but it's been a tough week for me. So, yeah.
We're going to get to that. And I don't know what you mean by beautiful summer days. I don't know. 85 and humid is all heck. I don't mind 85. The humidity drives me nuts.
I haven't been out yet today, so I don't know.
Yeah,
because the humidity had dropped, and that always is. So I was thinking it was still like that. But yeah,
it's coming. Yeah,
there's the main reason, other than my dear husband and his family, that I live in Minnesota is because I've had my lifetime quota of heat and humidity as a Southern girl, and so I am resentful of these days.
I'm not. It doesn't make me happy either. You know, you're going to have so many really nice days, and an 85-degree day, a little light cloud, be wonderful to go golfing, and then you sweat walking outside. You just walk.
It's terrible. Yeah,
not big. We got a couple of things we got to cover. The first one, and I presume you saw it as many times as I have, the photo of Senator Hoffman leaving the ICU with the little thumbs up thing, the little suitcase next to him.
That was a good thing this week.
Well, it was a great thing this week. And when you first see it, you get it, and love it. And just FYI, I've been going back and forth with John about coming on the program again, and Sunday he didn't feel comfortable doing Monday, but he said next Monday he would. I told him we're not going to hold him to that. Let's just see how he feels.
Yes.
We're not that important in anyone's life. So we went going back and forth, and I enjoy it. And then I see the photo, and I get it. It's cool. It's John. He's got that little smile John thing on his face. You know, he's just cracked somebody up. But then it hit me. How sad a hospital is this? You've been to the hospital? You've had a child. You've been to the hospital. I had a colonoscopy, whatever it was, 3 years ago. You can't walk out. They make you sit in a chair. They got to push you all the way to your car because, good God, you might fall down and sue somebody or something. Not only do they not give John Hoffman, Senator, who was shot for all of us, a chair, they make us take his own luggage, for God's sakes. He looked like he was looking for, he's got his thumb out, It looks like he's trying to catch a ride in a taxi at the airport. He deserved better. Tell me I'm wrong now that you think about it. That's what I saw. You remember The Jerk, the movie with Steve Martin? And he stood outside with his little bag trying to thumb right outside. Never got anywhere today. That's what he looked like to me.
Well, so I just have a different take. First of all, I have a feeling, because I remember the only time I've ever been checked in the hospital overnight was giving birth, right?
Yeah. And
I do think they let me walk to the door of the room, and then they made me sit in the chair, that kind of thing. But and I also, I love John. I respect him. I know him. He's a smart man. His wife is incredibly brilliant. And not that more brilliant than he is. She is so sharp and funny and astute. And I have a feeling that they very intentionally wanted to have a good, strong picture of John Hoffman in that particular moment. So, yeah.
And I wouldn't put it past John telling the nurse to get the heck out of here. I'm doing it my way. I don't have any problem that John would have done that. But it leads me to the rapid fire question that we do every week. Are you ready for this?
Yes.
The last photo you took on your phone. You don't have to show it to me, but you can tell me what it is.
Different than a screen grab, but an actual photo?
Well, yeah. A screen grab, a receipt from Walmart.
My photo is from a little souvenir from camp. So I don't know if you want me to go into that thing now.
Well, that'll lead us right there, but a photo from camp. Okay, that's fair enough. That's our question we're asking all the folks, making you personal. The camp story will make you personal. Right after this thing happened this weekend at Camp Mystic Lake or whatever it's called down in Camp in Texas, you sent a picture. You've been there. You've done that.
Yeah, I was.
How long ago? Tell us about that.
Yeah. So So I got news that this was going on in and around Kerrville, and including Camp Mystic specifically. I'm getting chills just thinking about it. Friday, late afternoon, early evening. And I texted friends of mine about it. And that's where I went to camp in 1975, 76, and 77. So it dawned on me, I think it was Saturday morning I did this math, that I celebrated July 4th, 1975. So 50 years ago, this July 4th at Camp Mystic. And you and I have talked about the bicentennial. I celebrated the bicentennial at Camp
Oh,
Mystic.
no kidding. Okay.
So yeah, I was there the summers after my 6th, 7th, and 8th grade years in school. And
Out of curiosity,
special place.
Camp Mystic, and we have heard the name. Is this a religious camp? Is it a Catholic camp? Is it a Lutheran camp? Is it a camp of, what is it?
Yeah. When I went there, there was definitely a Christian sort of
vibe,
structure to it. But like I was reading an article about it, trying to brush up on some of the details because, my perceptions of things as a middle schooler are a little different than,
What?
And there's some,
You're different
there's some
at 60
stuff
than you were at 6? Really?
Shock, I know. But like ownership kind of questions. And I remember Dick Eastland, who passed away trying to save girls, which, you know. Anyway, but I didn't fully understand the ownership. So I was reading some of this stuff. There was a really great article in Texas Monthly, which is a fabulous magazine. And they were talking about how, frankly, after Dick and Tweety Eastland took over, it became more religious, but it was definitely, we had Sunday services, and I sent you that picture of Chapel Hill with an old rugged cross, and we sang Old Rugged Cross, and it's just this beautiful view of the valley. On a hillside, we sat on these little rustic benches and had Sunday services every week. We said grace before every meal. There were just different sort of recognitions of it, but it was not, as the Texas Monthly article said, it was sort of a, sort of God is around us everywhere kind of approach. It wasn't, like a very super embedded Christian church. I had a Jewish cabin mate who was a friend, at the time. And so that's the religious story.
Let's talk a little bit about just that setup, because now you've been there. I talked with, Alan, Richard Battle earlier. He's from about an hour from there, just where he lives, hour and a half. When we live in Minnesota, and I'm an outstate Minnesota, but even in Blue Earth here, we had storms roll through. They were actually north of us, and the alarms went off. Now, it was 5 p.m. You could not hear them. You go out, perfectly sunny here, but it was in our county, so they go off. I get it. Phones go off.
Yeah.
You have, 5-10 minutes. It's a tornado. Not like you have massive amounts of time.
But you get to a basement if you're in your house, yes.
Exactly, but it helps, and we paid money to make sure that's all set up. I honestly don't know what they do out in the country. If you live 2 miles out of town, you're just hoping your phone goes off, I presume. Right. That all being said, we put that kind of money into this in Minnesota. I presume Woodbury, you probably got one of those horns right outside your house, don't you?
I believe that's a county thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
First Wednesday, 1 o'clock.
Boy, and I'll tell you what, I make that joke ours is, I think, the first Wednesday at 1 o'clock. You know what? I hope no storms come on a Wednesday at 1 o'clock, because isn't anybody going to believe it?
Ignore it. Right.
You're like, it goes off everyone's. Yeah. So, but now with like a hurricane, you get 3 days, 4 days. It's, if it's a tropical storm, it's building. You have time to get yourself ready. Right. This flood situation that, as I understand, happened, the alarms did go off. Now, I'm going to ask you, can you even imagine, again, we have them in my county, they're in my town, but I can't imagine they're out in the sticks over here where you're raising corn. Yeah, the warning system. Even if they set a warning system off, is it in this cavernous place where there are going to be horns going off in nature? I would imagine not.
So, well, no, there aren't there for sure, as we've learned. Okay. And that's a whole other conversation I'm happy to have. And, I do think that there are, tornado warning systems around a lot of places for sort of that kind of emergency. Yeah. And like my husband and I were talking about this. I don't know if you remember in 2012 in June, there was a really big storm up in the Arrowhead. It really did a lot of damage in Duluth to the zoo. We were actually camping at Trail's End at the end of Gunflint Trail when that happened. And we were in a pop-up camper on a cliff over the Boundary Waters.
Why do you do this? And you got a cabin with bears? Why? Good God, why?
Because we love it. It's beautiful and it's nice to be remote. But
you almost died 3 times in the times I've talked to you, between bears and now this. Good God.
But so like, and that is remote, right? And so we're listening to WTIP radio as best we can. And do we need to go down to the cinder block toilet at any point because the winds and everything? Right. Well, I mean, better than a pop-up camper on a cliff, right? We weren't worried about being flooded. We were worried about getting blown off.
My God, you laugh. You're like a daredevil. You're like the evil Knievel of just living.
We're fine now. But anyway, when I was in the legislature, I remember very specifically that, there was a state expenditure request to add an emergency radio tower out in that area of the Boundary Waters and Gunflint Trail. And, because Little Cook County has 5,000 people, they can't afford as citizens to pay for all this infrastructure. And particularly because this is a region, much like Kerr County, where there's a lot of outside tourism that brings in revenue to the state. And so the state supports it, right? So that's
I got to go to break. I want you to hang on there because I don't know. Someplace you got to draw a line. I mean, I get it. There's only so much going around. And maybe we're going to have that conversation, which is good. Let's have it. But let's do it on the other side of the break. We'll talk with Senator Susan Kent right after this.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
Chanhassen Dinner Theaters brings you its most popular show of all time, Grease. You'll hear all your favorite hits from the Broadway musical and the movie. Join the whole gang at Rydell High. We'll sing, we'll dance, we'll bring you back to high school life in the 50s. Poodle skirts, bobby socks, the soda shop, and drive-in movies. Grease! It'll rock your socks off. Order your tickets today. Visit chanhassendt.com.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
Got it, Senator Susan Kent on the program. I like that you send me proof of the last photo you've taken. I think that's so cool.
No, I just thought you'd like to see them.
I do.
Those are sweet. That's my handwriting from 6th grade. and because I took those to share with my friends on the Woodbury Newsnet team because I had forgotten this, right? I pulled this out in the wake of what's just happened, and because I was really feeling connected with it, and I hadn't seen this in years. And
that is too funny.
I know. I took a journalism class at camp in, that year after 6th grade, and it's got my name and the year, and it says journalism, and it just shows I've cared about journalism for a long time.
You didn't know spacing very well. You got to journal, and you had to do the ism, had to go kind of a wipe around the corner. The photo I sent you was my last photo. My dad's funeral. I probably shouldn't share, but I will. Those 4 guys, there's 4 of us. High school, we knew each other. I don't know if we hung much, but we started getting together in college. And we have gotten together once or twice a year, every year since, called Big Guy Weekend,
nice.
For whatever, 50 years now. And this is where it gets wrong. So one of the parents passes, years ago, and it was in Scandia, the Meister Burger House, something like that. It was a place we'd went and had burgers. So after it was done, we all ran down there, sat around a table with their girlfriends and whoever wives, and chatted. Another parent passes, we did it again.
Yeah.
3rd one we didn't because there's COVID. 4th one does, and we were 20 miles from this place, and said, hey, we got to go to Meister Burgers. So our tradition, which is weird, is as soon as funerals are done, we all run off to the place. And now when they're down here for my dad's, it's 3 hours away from Meister Burgers. So we went to the local brew club, and about 20 of us showed up. The 4 of them, their spouses and friends, and we just chat. And it makes funerals better. I was looking forward to the Meister Burger time, so that's my bad story.
I love it. That's great, and those are such powerful traditions.
Well, it's a weird thing to become a tradition. What do we do? Oh, we go out afterwards, have a beer or 2, and chat. I don't know. It's what we do. So, what were we talking about? Oh, the how we fix things. Now, we're not going to have flooding quite like that in Minnesota. I think because of the lakes, we have the ability to soak up more water, but we have our own issues. And you saw the dam here in Mankato last year. I mean, we can have problems.
Yeah.
But you have to draw the line. And I don't know where. And again, this thing can go up in the northern part of Duluth, and maybe we should put up a tower there. Should the entire state be covered by this, and what does that cost?
Well, I mean,
there's give and take.
It's the thing. If you want zero risk, you always drive 10 miles an hour everywhere, right? I mean, it's just not practical.
Exactly.
So there are risk assessments and judgment calls that make sense. And I think that I am all for, so I saw a guy on the news last night. He's actually a congressman now, but he's a meteorologist by trade. And he made the point, and I thought this was really good. When we have an airline crash, we have the NTSB go out and do an investigation, and it's independent and it's credible, and they look at all the information and they'll tell you what they can tell you. But then they say, we're going to wait and see, and then we'll come back with real information and recommendations, right? And it is through that we have made our commercial air travel really, really safe, right? And this guy's point was, we should do the same thing when there are major
weather
natural
issues,
disaster situations like this. So what could we have done better, and that kind of thing. But I mean, when you have a case like this, where to me, that's why I made the Cook County analogy. You have a little county that doesn't have a huge population, but that gets a huge influx of visitors, whether it's campers, because there's a big camp industry there.
Here's what I would think, though, because
you
money,
need to make some special, provisions in those kinds of cases.
Here's where I at, and you get Verizon, I can't even name another phone company, and you get the guy with the Elon and
T-Mobile,
his Starlink and all that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And instead of us putting up these towers everywhere, hoping, because even if you put towers, if you're down in a gully and it doesn't shoot right, everybody's phones seem to work anymore. We're pretty darn covered with phones. And you say, you want to sell a phone in Minnesota, guess what? This county puts out a tornado thing. Phone's going off. That's on your business. You figure out how to do it. I think that's how we get around this. If it's Starlink, you know what I'm saying? I don't know that any more radio towers is the answer. And I would imagine that's the same in Texas.
Right. That's exactly the point. But right now, we need more information before we can decide those things. Is the point about in an NTSB type analogy, right? Let's really understand. What did the Weather Service know when? And, I do think there's a serious conversation that there are a lot of people who think we just need to cut the hell out of government. And guess what? Government does some really valuable stuff that makes a lot of difference to a lot of people. And
I don't disagree.
An example.
I don't disagree. The problem is,
we need a weather service, and we need to be able to communicate. And there's a real question if the least recent cutbacks in staffing didn't make a difference.
Well, the cutback, and we can talk about that. We'll do it on the other side, because the cutback in staffing doesn't start until October, because that's when the new budget started. So nobody was lost. We got to go to break.
There were early retirements.
Okay.
There were
so people left, and
They were
Okay.
told, they were given a
I got
package
15
tour.
seconds. We can talk about that on the other side. We'll talk about it on the other side, I promise. We'll be back right after this with more on the Al Travis Show.
Achieving your financial goals requires individual planning.